Welcome to the Gen X Journey podcast. Dive into all things important to Gen Xers, from advice on aging parents, expert interviews, product reviews, and heartfelt conversations. So put down the joystick, grab your Walkman, dust off your old yearbooks, and welcome to the Gen X Journey.
Welcome, everyone, again to the Gen X Journey podcast. My name is Keith Abbott, along with my friends Noel Kirsch and Steve McKelkey. I'm going to turn it over to Steve. He has an interesting article or discussion to talk about with us today, and I thought it was a really neat one to discuss and kind of just interact with between Noel and Steve and myself. So, Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you to discuss what topic you came up with.
Absolutely. So, yes, as we're working through content for future episodes, I came across an article written by Newsweek. It was written in July of 2021. So this is about a 3-year-old article now. But it was a discussion around the cultural icons of Generation X. And really, their point was icons that defined an era. And
Yes.
so I perused through the article and thought they were very much spot on many of them. Some of them I think we need to debate, discuss, agree or disagree.
And there'll probably be some that we're going to come up with that they didn't.
Yeah, 100% right. 100% right. So the list starts out strong, and the first one I wasn't a huge fan of this artist, but first one they listed was Kurt Cobain. This is not in the rank. This isn't the number one on the list. It's just their list of era-defining stars. So Kurt Cobain, obviously, he helped define a genre of music that was very prevalent during our generation with grunge. And Smells Like Teen Spirit was, the song that we all know and probably think of away when we think Kurt Cobain. Would you put him as an icon on this list?
For our generation, I probably would. I'm with you. He's not my favorite artist, but there is no mistake that the sound of our generation in the 90s was grunge. And that I read a lot of articles about that summer or that season when Nirvana and some of those others came out with their iconic albums back to back to back, and just the talk pre-launch about the discussions about this band in Seattle that's going to change the landscape, et cetera, et cetera. So and I also think of him kind of like a James Dean, where he was a short-lived time on the earth when he rose to fame. And does that make him even that more of a mystique, so to speak, than he may have if he would still be alive today. Right. So but I agree. I think he should be on this list. What about you, Noel?
Yeah, I think he definitely influenced a lot of the 90s, rock and roll scene. I mean, all those bands that came out of the Seattle scene, that they're like Pearl Jam, of course, Nirvana. Did Smashing Pumpkins come out of Seattle? Were they from Seattle?
I don't know if they were from Seattle, but same idea, same type of genre, right?
Soundgarden up there as well.
Yeah, Soundgarden. Yeah, it's the one I was thinking of. But I mean, just that whole and not only just the grunge, rock, but kind of what it inspired and sort of the spinoffs and stuff from that too. I think he was sort of the pioneer, I think, of that sound, which was pretty unique and hadn't existed until really kind of he introduced it into into the world. Back in the 90s. So yeah, I think he does. So
yeah,
I think.
Gen X research team said Smashing Pumpkins. They just drew me a note here. Smashing Pumpkins are out of Chicago.
Okay.
Okay.
But same genre though. Same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sad that he took his life. Absolutely. And I sort of wonder, how would the grunge genre have carried if maybe he didn't exit his life so soon? And would it still be a prevalent? Would he have adapted his music style as his career, like a lot of artists sort of tend to do? They try new things out. But I really wish that we could have had more time with Kurt Cobain, because he definitely defined a lot of our generation.
Really did.
Doubt, so.
No doubt.
The next person on this list is a no doubter in my brain, and that is the artist known as Prince.
Oh yeah.
And
Gosh, yes.
and again, lost him too soon. I think I really pray that one of these days they'll release the rest of his music archive so we can hear the rest of the greatness that he created that we have never heard once in our life. And I think I'll say that to my entire life, hoping that actually happens.
Right.
I was a big Prince fan. I loved his music. It's a lot of good memories behind it. Y'all agree? I assume y'all both agree that he is a no doubter on this list, right?
100%. 100%. Have you guys ever seen him perform the song Cream? It was live. He did it live at Webster Hall in 2004. Have you ever seen that video?
I haven't. I need to watch
Go
that.
to YouTube and Google that, or go to YouTube and then search for that. It's Prince Cream live at Webster Hall. And
Okay.
it is what I like about it is it's just him and his guitar. And what I like about it is how he pretty much just controls the room. He's very interactive with the people there. And the audience is like singing with him, and I won't ruin it for you, but just seeing how he just would just control the room, with his artistic abilities and that music. I've never played a guitar before, but it sure does look like it looks and sounds hard.
Yeah.
Some of the chords and stuff he was playing, and I've seen people analyze that, real experienced guitar players on YouTube, and they were like, the stuff he was doing was just insane. And he just seems like he just seamlessly played, so many different instruments, but a once in a lifetime musical talent that we got to be alive with at the same time as him was pretty cool. Yeah, Prince is, for me, hands down, culture icon for Gen X.
Yeah,
I agree. And, I've heard stories about, he was definitely ahead of his time. You can, no question there. And I've read stories about, I can't remember if it was the Rose Bowl or at Anaheim Stadium, but like the first time he performed, people didn't really understand or appreciate who he was and almost booed him off stage. And just to understand over time the talent this guy had and the songs that he came out with. And I mean, just even changing his, whole name to a symbol. I mean, all that's not, I didn't agree with it. Right. It was weird. And the formerly known as thing, all that stuff was strange, but it just definitely transcended a lot of the changes that are coming about even today with people's identity and all that kind of stuff. So not only was he musically ahead of his time, I think culturally he was ahead of his time too. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Totally
One of the
agree.
earliest music videos I can remember is Prince's Raspberry Beret video. And I remember when that video first came out, I was like, wow, that was so awesome. And the technology they used created and everything. Now you watch it, and I still pull it up every now and then. And it's horribly bad. At the time, so awesome. Yeah. And so to our listeners, if you haven't had a chance to watch that music video, pull it up on YouTube, because it is a trip down memory lane for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that and that concert.
Yeah.
I wonder if he ever went to Disney World and wasn't able to get on some of the rides because he was so short.
Right. Very short guy.
He was a short dude, man.
Yeah.
But boy, could he sing.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So the next one on this list is interesting, and I have no doubt that Keith is going to likely agree with this, but this is Carrie Fisher.
Okay. Interesting.
We all know as Princess Leia.
Right.
I'm famous for not being crazy about Star Wars. I don't dislike it. If I was to make this list, that name wouldn't even cross my mind as an icon of Generation X, but
yeah,
maybe there's some discussion to be had around that.
So here's what I'll say that's really ironic about what you're saying. Okay. So there's been some recent Star Wars shows, one most recently that's come out, and it's basically really focusing on the female role in Star Wars. Okay. And they're celebrating the fact that Star Wars is finally showing a strong female role. And I'm going to say bullcrap. Mm-hmm. I mean, anybody that saw how Carrie Fisher was in A New Hope knows that was a strong female role. And I can tell you, I know that the story was about, Luke coming to prominence, but they had an absolute balance in the strength of each character. Like Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill, the three of them. I mean, I can't say that either one of them was stronger or weaker than the other as far as not their acting skills, but their presence as a character. So I call BS to this new wave of, we finally have strong. That's not true. And the idea that Carrie Fisher, of all of the characters in this universe, are the ones that's highlighted on this list, drives that point home. So I probably wouldn't have put her on that list too. I'll accept it. I could think of others I probably would otherwise in Star Wars, but I like that pick. And the fact that she was still influential even when the new ones came out right before she died, and people really hung on to what she had to say, drives that strength forward for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And definitely that was Newsweek's, I guess, reasoning for putting her on this was her inspirational figure for women.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Women sci-fi fans. So absolutely. Noel, would you agree with that addition?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I would add anything to what Keith just said. I think he said it pretty well. I mean, it's hard to pick out of that cast one of them to be like the cultural icon, and I think he said it well, though. I mean, I think they are all kind of balanced, and not one of them really stood out over the other. I mean, Luke was sort of the main character, so it seems like he would be the logical choice if you're trying to pick one of them. But I don't have any problem at all with her being the pick too, because she was equally as important, if not more, than the others. So, yeah.
All right, good. So the next person on this list, I believe I would agree with this addition, is Biggie Smalls, aka the Notorious B.I.G. And he was huge with the hip hop movement of the '90s. Much of our college soundtrack had some Biggie Smalls on it, and along with the next artist we'll talk about here in a second. But what are your thoughts on Biggie?
Do you want to go, or do you want me to, Keith?
Well, here's what I'll say that I like. Okay, I am so happy that somebody I don't know is on this list, because I know that my likes and tastes are not like everybody else's. And I think that's one of the things that's cool about Gen X that defines us, is this was when minds and independent thought and independent ideas of who our role models started to shift. And I think the rap hip hop movement did kind of push a lot of that out there. I mean, that was something that was really strong. So I don't really think personally he wouldn't have been one on my list, because I'm not in that wheelhouse, but I totally appreciate what he's done for the music industry and for that hip hop industry, and what he has done since, as far as the sound of today's youth is a direct result of his artistry, really. Noel?
I mean, I like his music. I like rap. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. I have a really diverse musical interests. Like I like a lot of reggae. I like rap, and of course I like country music and rock music and classic music and all kinds of music. But I like his I like his music. I don't think I would put him in the same category or in the same status as like a Prince, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
that's
a whole different echelon than I think a Notorious B.I.G. would be. If I scan the rise in the 80s and 90s and stuff, the music scene, he's not one that just rises to the top for me. But
it's and no, you bring up a good point. Just the fact that Gen X had so many different genres of music introduced to us, and I don't know if other generations had the multiple or variety of musical influences that we did.
Yeah,
but gosh, I mean, I don't think we count all the genres on our two hands, and
totally.
And so it's awesome. It's no wonder, like, when we have a playlist, like, or what genres next on our playlist, because I'm curious to see what the playlist shuffle does to it. But the next one is go ahead, Noel.
I would put Bob Marley in that category. Like I would put him on the same same status level, if you will, as a Prince, but
Yeah.
and not Notorious B.I.G. But
Yeah,
anyway.
and I'll be curious to see what names y'all mention when we get to the end about who's not on this list and should be, because I have a couple in my head already.
Larry
But
Bird.
yeah, well, yeah, without a doubt, put Magic there as well. I mean, and Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan for sure.
My question is are these supposed to be people who are Gen X that are actors and famous people, or people who influence Gen X?
Good question.
Because I'm looking at this list as these are Gen X folks. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So you're correct. So Bob Marley is pre-Gen X.
Okay.
And come to think of it, one of the names in my head right now, maybe pre-Gen X, probably is pre-Gen X as well. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure is.
But see, that doesn't make sense then, because Prince was born in 1958.
True.
I just did I just had that from Gen X, the Gen X Journey research department. It said, "Look, you're stupid. This is anybody that influenced us." So there you go.
Yeah,
they can be so rude sometimes.
Yeah, so I mean, to your point, Keith, the crutch of this article is purely who the influences were on our generation. So that puts those names back in my head.
Me too. Me too. Now,
all right.
Yep.
I'd be curious to see we'll go to you first on that, Keith, when we get to that part of
it. Okay.
So the next person on this list is Tupac Shakur. As you recall, in a prior podcast format, I refer to as Tupac Shaker. And three podcasts ago, maybe 4 podcasts ago, maybe. Anyway, Noah, you loved rap music. What are your thoughts on this?
He's one I would put up there. He's one I can see making the list. He and Notorious B.I.G. were sort of one of the same, sort of, the yin and the yang, I guess, of the rap scene back in the 80s and 90s mostly. Tupac Shakur is probably, I would put him up there. He's still, he left an impact on the rap scene for sure for generations.
Yeah, I kind of pigeonhole him with the Kurt Cobains that gone too soon, immediate influence, and a legacy probably bigger than he was.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, and still his legacy is still, many times you watch the music award shows and they still credit Tupac for his influence on their lives and their motivation to start rap. And it's rare to find that type of talent that transcends time. Especially in their death. So
absolutely.
So the next one on this list is when first time I ever saw this person, I was like, "What is going on here?"
I can't wait to hear this.
Just the androgynous edge, to take Newsweek's words exactly, and that is Boy George.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh!
And I don't know that I was ever influenced by Boy George. I mean, I guess maybe I enjoyed a couple songs, and definitely he was probably a typical Gen Xer from the standpoint that he marched to the beat of his own drum. However, I don't believe he was born in Generation X. I think he was prior as well. But man, what are y'all's thoughts on this one?
Go for it, Noel.
I don't know that I can name probably one of his songs, or maybe 2. I don't know that he really, I wouldn't put him in the same category of Prince. I don't know. I'm just kind of measuring everybody against Prince and Tupac and it's funny. Like if you think about it now, like Boy George in 2024 would seem pretty like, okay, well, whatever that, this is
just another day.
Yeah, just he looks just like everybody else does these days. But back in the day, I mean, he was totally different from everybody else. But I don't know. I wouldn't put him on the list personally. For me.
So same. This is the way I would think about Boy George's. When I'm thinking about a list that influenced Gen Xers, I'm thinking of something that, like Noel said, I would go back to again and again and again as something that I enjoy. And like I said, a couple of like Karma Chameleon's a cool song, right? But I would probably pigeonhole him more into things that defined the 80s more than things that defined Gen X. Yeah, and that's probably where I'd put it.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. The next person on this list, I'll be honest, I I've never seen this movie. This individual, there's no blip on my radar with this individual, and this
Not
is
a sports movie.
definitely not a sports movie. Her name is Molly Ringwald. I know the name.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! Yes,
She was in The Breakfast Club, which my wife has been dying to get me to watch, and I'm still saying no to that. But,
oh my
I
god,
don't know
you
why.
gotta watch that,
I don't
dude.
know
It's a good
why,
show.
but
you've never seen that? You've got to watch all the John Hughes movies, Steve. Those are classics.
I
Oh
think
my gosh, those
here's
are great movies.
I just came up with an idea, fellas. We need to have I don't even know if this is allowed, but it'd be fun, like a live, like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 of Gen X movies, and we can comment on them. That would be awesome.
Oh my god, yes.
I don't even know if that's legal, but it'd
give
be
me a
fun
couple
to do.
beers before we start on.
That's what terrifies me.
I'll bring my A game.
No, I can see her, like the whole Brat Pack, right? The whole gang, like not just her, but you've got Anthony Michael Hall, C. Thomas Howell, Rob Lowe, all those guys. Definitely, she's Ali Sheedy, all those folks. Those folks stand out in my childhood as movies that, like I didn't really like. What was it, Pretty in Pink, and those that she was in? Ducky was cool, I guess, but it wasn't. Those weren't shows that really. I wasn't cool enough. I guess the cool crowd wouldn't watch that. But later on, I've come to appreciate them. But there's some that are in there that I've really liked, and I can definitely see her as a Gen X thing. I definitely can.
100%. Yeah, I totally would put her in that group for sure as a cultural icon. 16 Candles is one of funniest movies.
That's good stuff. That's a good one. Yeah,
that is a movie that is often quoted in this house. And when my brothers and I get together, we're still constantly, the Long Duck Dong.
Oh yeah.
Quotes.
Have you seen this one, Steve? Have you seen 16?
Oh,
that's the first one you got to watch.
You got to watch that.
Oh man.
It is freaking hilarious. And there's scenes that would never be shot in 2024 ever.
Right. But I want to remind y'all that in the 1980s, I watched Saturday morning cartoons, and then that was sent to the yard to go play. And so there was no lounging on the couch all day watching TV.
You should catch up on. You should watch that though. That is a funny one for sure. But I would definitely put Molly Ringwald in that.
Oh yeah, without question, she's definitely an image of Gen X.
All right, very good, very good. Well, that's why there's three of us, and we're never all 100% going to agree. And I'd be curious to get your opinions on this person. This is a sports star, and it's not Larry Bird. And I'm sort of surprised that he made this list because Muhammad Ali is no doubt one of the most accomplished athletes ever. Also one of the, you think about just how he approached the draft and everything. He was very much had a Gen X mentality, but he was born much, prior to the Gen X generation. But he was obviously, an iconic American, an iconic boxer, an iconic sports star. I guess the question is did he have a influence on us as a cultural icon for our generation?
For the Gen X generation?
Yeah. No. I mean, like his last big fights before he kind of declined was 71. That was the year before I was born. So is that the last person on the list?
No, we've got a couple more.
Okay. But, I'll just throw out that I would think of Michael Jordan if I'm looking at sports for Gen X. 100%. Like that would be even Larry Bird. I mean, like that's still in our youth.
I put Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson before Ali for our generation.
Us, I think for Muhammad Ali, I think had a much bigger. I mean, like you said, his last fight was in the early 70s. So I think if you're asking the boomers, 100%. Like he was, the things that he did, the things that he changed culturally for particularly the African American community, 100% are left a massive mark on the sports world and on our culture as a whole. Is that Gen X though, specifically? Probably not, in my opinion, but yeah, if you're looking for boxers, Mike Tyson was the one that was like more our speed. I mean, that dude is a beast. If you could take if you were going to like build the perfect boxer physically, mentally, give him the growing up story that he, you know, had rough and play. We grew up in a rough place and stuff. And like all those things, like shake it up in a shaker bottle and spit it out. Like the perfect boxer, you'd get Mike Tyson. I mean, the dude was just an animal.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So, you know, a reminder to our listeners, you know, this is a list created by Newsweek, not me.
Right. Do not blame Steve, is what he's saying.
But, you know, so it's interesting. It definitely, we felt it desired or deserved the type of conversation around it, because in many ways we agree, as we learned so far.
So far, this list has been really good, and I can't wait to see not only who the others are that you're driving home, Steve, but I can't wait to share some of our opinions on who has definitely been left out, because I'm literally, have you ever had one of those times where you're too busy waiting to respond instead of listening? That's where I'm at right now. So we're going to continue this with a part 2 that will complete the people who Newsweek thinks are people who are famous to Gen X or influential. And then the 3 of us are going to give our 2 cents worth. So we will complete this in our next episode in part 2. So stay tuned, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the Gen X Journey podcast belong solely to the hosts and guests and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of any entity they are associated with. The information provided is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of qualified professionals for any specific issues they may face. The creators and contributors of this podcast make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its use.